Welcome to Assuaged and the Student Public Health Team. Today we are speaking about the effects of mental health. Student credits, thank you for your contributions. We are featuring student speakers Dean Bravo, myself, Anya Nardone, Selena Latzke, and Victor Schmitt-Bush. The slides were made by Anya Nardone and Samantha Salacup.
So before we get started, we'd love to share our rap song introduction video, and we hope you enjoy.
Yeah, okay, organic base, this is what you need. Take you to the future, live a life that can be disease-free. All these toxins are taxing on our bodies, no doubt. All these GMOs and these processed foods we can live without. Yeah, wanna see you live a long time. Contaminants in our water and our food supply. From the meat to the dairy and the fish, what a shame. Not realizing that my insides were inflamed. Hold up, I know it's hard to digest, that's right. I found an organic plant-based website. I even got the app. Yo, this is where it's at. Promoting a healthy life, it's time to put it on the map. Assuaged, trust you don't wanna miss. It's time for you to be your best, be your healthiest. Assuaged, trust you don't wanna miss. It's time for you to be your best, be your healthiest. Hey, Assuaged, let's go.
So we begin with what is stress? We have a brief introduction here. Stress is your body's response to changes in your life. It is how the brain and body respond to any demand, any type of challenge, such as performance at work or school. A significant life change or a traumatic event can be stressful. What are signs of stress? Well, first we look at how do you feel. You could be irritable, aggressive, impatient, burdened, anxious, nervous, or afraid. Like your thoughts are racing and you can't switch it off. Unable to enjoy yourself, depressed, uninterested in life, a sense of dread, worried about your health. We might consider how you might behave. You may be finding it hard to make decisions, constantly worrying, avoiding situations that are troubling you, snapping at people, unable to concentrate, eating too much or too little, smoking or drinking alcohol more than usual, and restlessness. How you might physically be affected. You could have shallow breathing or hyperventilating, You could have panic attacks, muscle tension, blurred eyesight, or sore eyes. You could have problems getting to sleep, staying asleep, or having nightmares. You could be losing interest in sex or being unable to enjoy sex. Constant fatigue, headaches, chest pains, high blood pressure, indigestion, heartburn, constipation or diarrhea, feeling sick, dizzy, or fainting. So what causes stress? Feelings of stress are normally triggered by things happening in your life. So we look at common problems, being under lots of pressure, facing big changes, worrying about something, not having much or any control over the outcome of a situation, having responsibilities that you're finding overwhelming, not having enough work, activities, or change in your life in times of uncertainty. So we may ask, so why do certain things make me feel stressed? Your perception of the situation, how experienced you are at dealing with that particular type of pressure, your emotional resilience to stressful situations, the amount of other pressures on you at that time, and the amount of support you are receiving. They all play a factor. Next, we can look at what kind of situations can cause stress. We're looking at personal things, we're looking at friends and family, employment in school, housing, or you may have financial reasons to be stressed. So now we compare stress versus anxiety, and we want to know what is the difference here. So stress is a response to an external cause, such as a meeting a tight deadline, and may subside once the situation has been resolved. But because stress is caused by external factors, tackling these issues head-on can help. If you're experiencing prolonged chronic stress, there are many ways to manage and reduce your symptoms. Stress is a common trigger for anxiety, and it's important to catch anxiety symptoms early to prevent development of an anxiety disorder. Now, anxiety is a person's specific reaction to stress. It's caused internally. Anxiety is characterized by a persistent feeling of apprehension or dread in situations that are not actually threatening. Unlike stress, anxiety persists even after a concern has passed. In more severe cases, anxiety can escalate into an anxiety disorder, the most common mental health issue in the United States. Anxiety disorders are classified in a variety of ways: generalized anxiety, panic disorder, phobias, social anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Three basic types of stress. Okay, so first we look at acute stress, which is usually brief and the most common and frequently seen in people. Most often caused by reactive thinking, and it is the body's immediate reaction to a challenging situation. It is when negative thoughts come from situations, events, or demands that have recently occurred or will occur in the future. Next, we look at episodic acute stress. Frequent occurrence of acute stress or having frequent triggers of stress. These people may live a life of chaos, crisis, and pressured while taking on many responsibilities and have difficulty staying organized. They have feelings of being anxious and worried, and that is highly present. Finally, we look at chronic stress. High stress levels for an extended period of time and the most harmful type of stress. It can significantly and irreversibly damage your physical health and deteriorate your mental health. Feelings of hopelessness can be present, and symptoms can result in a physical and mental breakdown. It can also lead to suicide, violent actions, homicide, psychosis, heart attacks, and strokes.
Wait, so Dean, you mean to tell me that people aren't going through chronic stress all the time, and there are people that are actually in a relaxed state most of the time? I don't know, that just surprises me, because, I mean, well, first of all, I want to make a point of saying that, chronic stress isn't necessarily associated with a constant, moralizing of, thinking that, you're a bad person or that you feel hopeless. There actually are a lot of cases in which chronic stress is like this ongoing thing that your body experiences, and that you can actually have a healthy mind and a healthy mindset without, while also experiencing, constant, chronic stress in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, me, in my case, I am very healthy, as far as my mind is concerned. I feel very I have a lot of confidence in myself. I really care about other people. I don't feel any reason to be suicidal or say bad things about myself all the time. But my body on its own kind of is in this constant state of stress. So I'm always in this position where I have to, meditate, all the time, or try to put my body back into a more, relaxed state. But my default mode is always, anxious. The body, though, not the mind. It's interesting how the body remembers certain things. It's kind of like the body has a habit of being in that state.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird how juxtaposed the body is to, your overall, mental health,
Yeah, it's true. Principles of yoga teach you how to release stress from your parts of your body, and use forgiveness to release negative energies from your different body parts as you stretch them or as you meditate. And I'll just make this short because it's a slide, but I'm a big fan of Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's passed away, and he was big on the whole forgiveness thing and yoga and getting your body to release these tensions that you've accrued over the years, and using forgiveness and moving forward in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting how a lot of the times people associate, the mind as being something which is completely separate from the body, and the body, being something that is not inherently affected by the mind. That they're like these two separate entities in a sense. But the truth is, I think that the body is kind of like its own kind of brain, right? That does have like its own memories, you know. So they can be useful memories, or they can also be these things which are like lingering, festering spurs on like a mental level, right? It's almost like kind of pain that lasts, that isn't actually like a physical thing. It manifests into a more like physical thing, like adrenaline is pumping all the time. It's just a maladaptive state, I would call it.
Yeah, I agree. And some diseases, I believe, are caused by the storage of bad energies. You know, if you get liver cancer, it's possible those energies were stored there, the bad energies, or, you know, you suddenly develop a limp and you didn't trip on anything, you didn't, you know, do anything, and you're limping for no reason. It could be gout, or it could just be you're storing a lot of bad energy in that leg for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like these things are deeply complex. So it's always great to have, you know, presentations like this that reveal, you know, the different types of complexities that are existing. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, like when your stress response valves stop firing, stress levels, they do stay elevated for longer than necessary, and this can affect your overall well-being, as we've stated. And of course, some of these symptoms, you know, like I said, they can manifest into physical things, right? So one of those things is, one of the non-physical things is irritability and anxiety and depression. But of course, those things can kind of like, you know, ball up into like physical things like headaches, and of course, like not being able to get sleep, you know, not having the right amount of, or having too much cortisol in your system and stuff like that. All right, so slide 8. So central nervous system and endocrine systems. So the central nervous system, it's responsible for your fight and flight response. And in the brain, the hypothalamus, which I think is in the, I don't know if it's in the back or the front of your brain, but so what this thing does is it tells your adrenal glands to release stress hormones, and, you know, adrenaline and cortisol. I was right. So these hormones speed up your heartbeat and send blood to the areas that can need it most in an emergency, like your muscles, heart, and other important organs. And so after the fact, you know, in a normal and optimally functioning body, the hypothalamus, it should tell all the systems to go back to normal. And of course, but if the CNS, you know, stores, you know, certain, you know, memories, or it has that fight or flight response longer than usual, it will fail to return to normal. And the response will, of course, continue. And this is, of course, you know, this is a factor in chronic stress. And chronic stress is also a factor in behaviors like overeating or not eating enough, too much alcohol usage or drug abuse, and another one is social withdrawal. So social withdrawal is often accompanied with, it's called social anxiety disorder, which is also called SAD, as the acronym goes. And so on slide 9, we're going to talk about how the respiratory system and the cardiovascular systems are impacted by chronic stress or even acute stress. And so during the stress response, you breathe faster, and you do this in an effort to quickly distribute oxygen-rich blood to your body. Typically, you would do this, or your body would do this in an effort to escape from, for instance, a saber-toothed tiger, right? When all of your body is being, you know, or all of your blood and oxygen is being sent to your body and your legs and everything, it makes it so that way you can, you know, respond quicker and, you know, move faster, and, you know, be able to outrun whatever enemy or threat is coming your way. And of course, under stress, your heart pumps faster. You know, you're always thinking and, you know, reacting in this really quick, you know, fast way. It really helps with survival. But this can, of course, become more maladaptive as the whole survival mechanism works incorrectly. And so your blood vessels, they constrict, They divert more oxygen to your muscles, and you'll have more strength to take action. And of course, this raises your blood pressure. And yes, so chronic stress will make your heart overwork for too long and can cause all sorts of diseases, cardiovascular disease and stuff like that. And ultimately could result in a stroke or a heart attack. And it also affects the digestive system. Under stress, your liver, it produces extra blood sugar to give you an energy boost. And under chronic stress, though, your body, it might not be able to keep up with this extra glucose surge, so that might increase your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And of course, type 1 diabetes works differently. The rush of hormones, rapid breathing, and increased heart rate that can upset your digestive system. And you're also more likely to have heartburn or acid reflux. And this is because of an increase in stomach acid. Stress, it increases your risk for ulcers and can even cause existing ulcers to act up. So it's just constant, downward spiral. And it also affects the way food moves through your body. And yes, it can even lead to diarrhea or constipation. You might also experience nausea. You might vomit or have stomach aches. Okay, and the last part of your body that stress can affect, directly affect, is your muscular system. Under normal acute stress, your muscles, they might tense up to protect themselves from injury, and they'll release once you relax. But under chronic stress, right, you're always in this state of just stiffness. I remember when I was young, my friends at school would always say things to me like, "Why do you always look like you're like in this constant rock, stiff kind of state? Like, why do you walk so funny? Like, why do you always seem to like you're doing some kind of anal retentive walk?" And I didn't really know why. I was stressed chronically. I always kind of felt like there was a saber-toothed tiger, coming my way, metaphorical way. Of course, that saber-toothed tiger was the opinions of my peers, or the expectations that they didn't like me, or the thought that I was weird or doing things abnormally. All these little irrational things. And of course, these cause headaches. When you're, constantly, stressed, it's not just your shoulders, your legs, your arms, your hands. It's also the tiny little muscles in your eyes, your forehead, your cheeks. Everything is tense when you're going through a chronic stressed state. And of course, over time, this can start an unhealthy cycle as you stop exercising. Because exercising is stressful, and when you're trying to avoid stress all the time because you're always stressed, the last thing you want to do is exercise. And you'll end up, you may potentially turn to pain medication for relief, which might not always be the best option.
All right, so we're actually going to talk about one more system, the sexuality and reproductive system. And kind of like what Dean was saying before, stress can really affect your sex drive. That's something to look out for as well. But under chronic stress, a man's testosterone levels can actually begin to drop, which can interfere with sperm production and cause erectile dysfunction or impotence. It may also increase the risk of infection for male reproductive organs like the prostate and testes. For women, stress can actually affect the menstrual cycle, which is way more common than you would think in a lot of women. It could lead to regular, heavier, or more painful periods. It can also magnify the physical symptoms of menopause. I have definitely experienced stress having an effect on my time of the month multiple times, and it is not fun. Now we're going to talk quickly about the immune system, which I think everyone is very familiar with here. Over time, stress hormones will weaken your immune system and reduce your body's response to foreign invaders, which we know that means you're more susceptible to getting sick. As you get older, getting sick can become more and more dangerous, life-threatening. It can become an issue. You need to stay strong and healthy, keep that immune system up. People under chronic stress are more susceptible to viral illnesses, kind of like what I was saying, like the flu, the cold, as well as other infections. Stress can also increase the time it takes for you to recover from an illness or injury. Now we're going to be talking about how to manage stress, because we've kind of been talking a lot about stress, but now we need some positives in there. Exercise. I know how Victor was saying, sometimes if you're stressed, the last thing you want to add to your plate is exercise, but for me, I've always found that exercise has been extremely helpful when I'm stressed out. You just have to put your head down, kind of put aside the time, and just make yourself do it. It can be really beneficial. Working out regularly is one of the best ways to effectively manage stress and relax your mind and body. According to the United States Department of Health and Human Services, or HHS, adults actually should be exercising for 150 minutes of moderately intense exercise or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise at least twice a week, which is, I think, more than a lot of people are getting, or even a lot of people are aware of. Next, relax your muscles. When you experience stress, your muscles get tense, kind of how we were talking about before. They can be loosened on your own and refresh your body by doing things like stretching, enjoying a massage, taking a hot bath or shower, and getting a good night's sleep. I know for me, I always carry stress right in the shoulder blades, and massages definitely help, and hot baths do help as well. Next, deep breathing. Stopping and taking some deep breaths can take the pressure off right away. So this one's very important. The in and out, it's really supposed to be therapy. You focus your mind as well on your breathing. So it's very beneficial. Next, I feel like a lot of people don't really kind of want to hear this, but you have to eat well. This is kind of our mission. It's so important. Food is fuel. What you're putting in your body matters. Eating a regular, well-balanced diet will help you feel better overall. It can also help control your mood. Meals should be full of vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. And the last thing, which I know people can't really always do, but I think it's so important to make time, is to slow down. Modern life is so busy and can be very, very stressful. Slowing down and relaxing is not only important for your mental health, but for your body as well. Again, I know it can be so difficult, and people are always busy, we're working, there's always cleaning to be done, there's a lot going on, but trying to find small ways to accomplish this really can make a big difference for your mind, body, and soul. All right, and part 2, we have some more methods. 6 would be take a break. So downtime is very important to give your mind some time off from stress. It can look different for everyone. A lot of people call it like decompression time. So if I come home from a busy night or from work or family event or whatever it may be, I 100% need decompression time, just to kind of take a few deep breaths, recollect, recharge my social battery. But it can be, again, different for everyone. Some examples are meditation, yoga, prayer, listening to your favorite music, watching TV, could be spending time with friends and family, or spending time in nature, whatever it is that helps you. And next we have make time for hobbies. So you're going to want to set aside some time for things that you actually enjoy doing. I know that there are a lot of people out there that work jobs that they maybe don't love, or they're working a few jobs to try to keep up, and it can really weigh down on you, especially when you feel like you've kind of lost touch with your passion or your purpose, or things that kind of keep you going and keep you fulfilled and happy. So a hobby could be anything, but doing something every day that makes you feel good can relieve stress. It's very important. Next, we have talk about your problems. Something that a lot of people also don't really like to do, but is huge. If things are bothering you, it is so important not to let them build up. Talking about them can lower your stress. It could be a friend, a family member, a doctor, a therapist, whatever it is. Just speaking your problems into existence. Sometimes for people, they realize, oh, I'm talking about it. It either doesn't sound so significant or big or overbearing anymore, or they just want someone to rant to kind of get it all out and be able to express themselves. Even with a therapist or a doctor, really important as well. These are very professional, educated people that are well aware of how they can kind of help you if you were to let them in. Positive self-talk is also extremely beneficial. I think there's this I think it's a Chinese saying that's, it's like there's a warrior within you, and every time you speak negative, they're lessened by that. So that one has always stuck with me because I think it's very true. Positive self-talk is very important, making sure that you really take a few seconds to yourself and say, whatever it is, I'm prepared, I can get through this, I'm strong, I'm confident in myself. It can really make all the difference. That kind of goes into our next, number 9, which would be go easy on yourself. You can't control everything in life, and things aren't always going to be perfect. It's important to keep up a good sense of humor because laughter goes a long way. I've definitely always been a control freak, so this is one thing that's really made a difference in my life, was kind of trying to let go of things and let it kind of work out for itself. Number 10, I know this is not possible for everyone, but it would be eliminate your triggers. Try and pinpoint as best to your ability the biggest causes of stress in your life. If you're able to identify what they are, it could be possible to eliminate them or at least reduce them. I think that people have this notion that everything is so permanent in life. I don't like my job, but I can't quit. I need to do this, I need to do that, blah, blah, blah. But I like to believe that people do have choices. They may not like either of the choices or as many of them, but you can control some things. And if you're not happy, then it's important to really try to take charge of your life and hopefully turn it around for the better. And now we're going to have a discussion. So we'll be starting a discussion based off of today's topic. We encourage you to participate in this discussion by sharing your thoughts and ideas. Anyone's welcome to hop in.
Okay, so the first discussion question. What are the biggest factors that contribute to stress in your life? So here it lists some of the major causes of stress, occupational demands, rotating work shifts, career concern, role ambiguity, conflict, work overload, interpersonal conflict, organizational changes, and poor working conditions. So I guess I can go first. So for me, in general, let's see, I have a lot of stressful things going on right now. Well, not right now, but in general in life. I guess family issues, family and friend issues are pretty stressful sometimes. Right now, my dad got hurt from work, and it's been pretty hard on the family, and it's really scary. So we're all stressed out about that right now. What else? I have a chronic illness, so that stresses me out every day. So there's that. But yeah, anybody else would like to share?
I'm stressed out. It's like running this business. Everybody thinks it's easy to just wake up one day and become a business owner, which is pretty much what we did 5 years ago. And there's just so much. It's like, there's so much needed to run a business, and there's so many people that you have to cater to, and in a good way, because I love working with people, but it just gets stressful, just all the demands and this kind of. So I know for me, I have a lack of exercise. I need, we just subscribe. We have a NordicTrack treadmill. We can go to China and Japan. We got it 4 years ago. It just sits in the room, sad. But my goal is to get on that and start being more accountable for exercising, because I'm not. I'm married to my amazing husband and this computer. So sometimes I just need to break away, but there's so much that needs to be done. But at the same time, I need to be more accountable and do what's needed for my health and less stress. So
I guess in my case, I think some of the most stressful things in my life right now would probably be the fact that I've been well gainfully unemployed for the last 6 months now. I quit my work just because it was I just felt that it wasn't for me, and that it just it was just something that I decided on my own terms. And I've been living off of my savings and everything like that. But of course, money does not last forever. Eventually, it does run dry if you don't have a source of income. And knowing that the clock is ticking, I think, is probably a big factor in a lot of the stress that I'm experiencing right now. Especially considering that, looking at my overall life as an adult, being responsible for pretty much, everything, including my cat. Knowing that there's a deadline there and that I have to do everything in my power to make sure that I do what is necessary before that deadline hits, I think I would consider it eustress, so positive stress, but it's still stress nonetheless. Another thing that has actually stressed me out, on a more lighthearted note, is that, when I was young, I was terrified of Japanese horror films. And so I thought that now, since I'm an adult, it's like this past week, I thought that, now since I'm an adult, I'm going to, if I can actually deal with this kind of stuff without actually having problems sleeping, right? So I did that. I watched this one movie called Pulse, or Cairo in Japanese, and that terrified the living daylights out of me. And I had to put the light on for the past couple of days, just because it really has a horror kind of feel to it, which affected my cognitive for a little bit of time. And I think a lot of it is it's like a subconscious thing, right? So consciously I'm aware, I'm like, okay, yeah, I know this is just a movie, it's not really going to happen in real life. But subconsciously your body reacts to that kind of thing and says, no, we're going to pump your veins with the cortisol and make you think that something's going to jump out at you every night. And so the only real solution that I had to that was, okay, I'm not really afraid of this consciously, but subconsciously I have really no choice but to turn the lights on because my body is reacting to it. Yeah, no, that's just a silly little thing that I had recently experienced. Anyone else?
Well, I think that's so awesome that you guys are all sharing this type of stuff. I'm really grateful. This has been an awesome discussion so far, so thank you all. I think what stresses me out in my life, I think it's feeling that I have to kind of take care of everyone. I'm very much kind of like the mother of my household at the moment. So it can be a lot trying to juggle, my life and things that I have to get done while financially and physically and emotionally kind of taking care of a family as well. So that stresses me out. And I know a lot of people have kind of anxiety about life and where they're going to go and end up. But for me, I have a lot of faith that things will always end up and work out how they're supposed to. So for that reason, usually the unknown doesn't scare me as much as I think it should.
Dean, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah. Well, no, the camera came to me. Just want to say I'm a big fan of scary movies, so I know where you're at there, Victor. And It's really funny because I pull my wife into it, and my wife is usually the one that sleeps with the light on. So, yeah, I've been watching scary movies since I was like 8 or 9, you know, like The Omen and Carrie and all that crazy stuff that came out years ago. My half-sister was also my babysitter, and she took me to watch those movies when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So, go figure.
I think the thing that messes me up the most is the uncanny valley factor and the unnatural movement. And I think a lot of Japanese movies do a really, really good job, I think, just instilling that fear into, you know, that prime.
Japanese are great at that. Yes, they are. In fact, I think the Ring movies were originally Japanese movies, weren't they? The Ring. Yeah, those are creepy.
That Evil Dead scared the crap out of me. The newer one.
Oh, it did. Oh, the first
one.
film, scary one for me.
God. And then the Exorcist too. We were watching something on that. And that poor girl. She's actually vegan. The Exorcist of the original girl, and she broke. The reason why that part where she bent her back looked so real is because it was. I mean, she broke her entire back over that part. So, anyways, I just was thinking of that. Linda Blair.
Yeah, Linda Blair. She actually was haunting. There was some like creature feature show that used to come on one of the major networks, and it would show scary movies, different ones. And Linda Blair was the host for many years. And it was always scary to see her because she has this certain look that is very unique. That reminds me of The Exorcist when I see her. And I think she was kind of pigeonholed to not get too many different acting parts after that, because everyone thought she was Reagan, the girl from The Exorcist. So kind of interesting.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
Imagine like walking down the street and being a woman says to you, "You look like the Exorcist."
Yes. She's still got that look on her face. I'm like, oh man, even if she's older now, it's scary.
So would anybody else like to add to would anyone else like to share their answers to this question?
Yeah, thank you everyone for sharing. Yeah, that was good. I also want to add for me, I don't know if I could talk about this in a different discussion question real quick, but like the physical aspects of it, like I have, like I know I said I have a chronic illness, but I also have like a really bad hormone imbalance. Like I got my hormone levels checked and like they're pretty bad. It's better now probably, but like a few years ago, like I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were really bad, and like my period's always been irregular until kind of recently, and like I mean I kind of liked not having it, but at the same time it's like, oh, it's, you know, it's pretty healthy to have it regular and everything. But anyways, okay, back to the next question. So what are some ways that you manage stress in everyday life? Would anybody want to go first?
People. No. Well, you know, like what I was saying with dealing with agencies and you know, other professionals can be stressful because everybody has different personalities. I feel like when you're working outside of your organization, for me at least, it can be stressful catering to those needs as well. And again, forgetting to take care of my needs and fit in some exercise and just be accountable in those ways. It's important, you know, because that helps you to manage stress. And, you know, some of the other things that I personally do is I love saging. I love essential oils. I can't use essential oils that much because my husband is like really allergic to them. Like he breaks out his skin. But, you know, there's just so many ways that stress can contribute to, you know, just that overload in your life. So I would definitely just kind of examine what you can do to lessen those stress points. But, you know, I would say eating healthy, vegan, plant-based is definitely a critical aspect of how I manage stress. And I can act like octopus woman at the same time, working on everything, not knowing what I'm working on. So that's all I have to say.
I guess one of the things that I do is I like to occasionally declutter my mind kind of like defragmenting the files on a computer. I noticed that when I can find ways to more neatly organize all the thoughts and perceptions and all the little things going on in my head, that it's much more easier to be able to even speak in a in a coherent way, because I noticed that when I'm thinking too many things at once, I can't as easily articulate things that are important to me, or have discussions with others, and that kind of like has like its own little cycle, and that's why it's important for me to do mindfulness, because what it does is it helps me look inward at everything going on inside of my own head and in my body. And I look at it from a place of, I don't want to say indifference, but perhaps I sort of dissociate myself from the emotions that arise as a result of the thoughts that are going on in my head. And so when I can look at it from a place, or look at it from a distance, I'm able to more easily compartmentalize everything, right? So it's kind of like taking something that's kind of like just wily and crazy, and just it's a little thought or idea that's just kind of like going insane, or it's happening too often, kind of like a song that's stuck in your head or something like that. It's an analogy. You kind of almost like grab it, right? And you observe it, and you like let it go, and then it does like its own thing, and then it passes. But at the same time, it's like that it's there, and then you take care of it, and then it becomes, I guess you could say, almost like the thought becomes more obedient, and then you can put it in a little box and say, okay, you stay there, you stay put. You don't need to go crazy like you usually do. And so that's essentially one of the ways that I manage stress, is I just use mindfulness to defragment my own mind. And it just makes my life a lot easier. And I can be a lot more productive when my thoughts aren't all over the place.
I usually manage stress, as bad as it may be, by eating. And I know it's like a horrible habit to kind of get into, to just stress eat. But it definitely helps. Definitely helps emotionally regulate. And I've tried to kind of switch it over to, maybe instead of eating, like I'll make tea, I'll put a little bit extra honey in there, and maybe kind of sipping on something will help me decompress as well. On the opposite end of the spectrum, I walk, which I guess you could kind of consider an exercise. I usually do like 5 miles a couple times a week, just because it brings me out into nature. I get my body moving a little bit. I don't feel so guilty when I do end up eating a little bit more than my body would like, so that helps as well. And sometimes I like to watch TV. I don't usually watch TV a lot, but every now and then, if I'm kind of bored at night and my social battery's out, I'll just put on like a movie or a show or something, like funny though, nothing scary, and that definitely kind of makes me feel better, and I manage stress that way. And I pray a lot as well. I wouldn't consider myself religious, but I would definitely consider myself spiritual. And kind of like how talking can kind of help your problems, I kind of talk to the universe or God, or for anyone out, angels, or anyone out there that's listening. I just kind of speak and I talk about the problems and ask for the things that I need, and it really, really genuinely clears my mind. And I've been doing that ever since I was a child, so that's something that I will probably always bring with me as well.
I love that. Do you look up angel numbers?
Yes, all the time. I have 2 of them that have been following me around forever. Just forever and ever and ever. And another thing that weirdly follows me around, I have a whole jar sitting up on my nightstand, is pennies. I see them almost every single time I leave the house. It's crazy. I probably have like 6,000 pennies. Like, it's actually ridiculous. It helps me through a lot of different things, so I will continue to do it, and I think that it will continue to kind of show up in my life all the time. I feel like that's kind of what got me to where I am. You know, I was kind of guided, and I followed a path that I felt like I was supposed to be on, and I feel very, so far, fulfilled, and I feel like it will just keep kind of growing and growing as I keep kind of walking.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks for listening.
Selena, what do you think, love? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I love everybody's things. I'm getting new ideas. But I try to do a lot of mindfulness like Victor. It's just hard for me to be consistent. Like, when I can do it, I really like meditating and journaling. Like, journaling is my favorite because I like to write. And it's hard. It's like one of those things where it's hard to start, but like once you do it, it's like I just really like it because you can just, you know, blurt everything out and just, you know. And I need to do affirmations every day. I try to write them down and then try to say them like in the mirror or something. And because I know I struggle with negative self-talk a lot, so I've been using that to try to change that. I think lately I've been sharing more with my friends and family, well, mostly with my friends, but like with my friends about my illness and like how it has affected me, and like I think that helps, like just talking about it. And even with I don't have a good therapist right now. I'm trying to find a therapist that fits me, but I definitely think everybody should try therapy. I have a lot of grief towards like just like a lot of things like revolving my illness and stuff, but like so like I have to like talk about that, and like because things I can't do or like miss out on and stuff, and like I have to talk about that. What else? Oh, another thing with the muscle, like it's affecting you physically. So my a few years ago, I remember my muscles were so tense. Like I was trying to always give myself massages. Like I couldn't, but like I bought a massager recently. It really helps. So it's so good. But I wanted to get a massage, like a massage, like with the massage therapist or something. But I was scared of the pain. And for other reasons, for my illness, I did acupuncture. But that actually took away all my knots like immediately. So I recommend that to anybody if you have tight muscles. Yeah, so that really helped, acupuncture. So like natural holistic forms of healing, mindfulness, and talking. I really love nature, so I like to hike a lot when I can. It's been too hot lately, but I also go on walks, and walking is definitely exercise. So and I like bike riding. I used to live in Santa Cruz, and I was like getting into mountain biking, so that was fun. And what else? Yeah, I guess those are my main things. But walking is like very, like I like walking a lot more than I thought I would. Like I used to be a runner, and I was like, walking, that's boring. But now I'm like, walking, like I'm down. It's a good time to just think and like, you know, be in nature and like or not think, you know. So yeah, those are my things. Oh yeah, the eating. I'm such a big stress eater, but I'm trying not to do that anymore because I have like the biggest sweet tooth. Like I'm kind of, it's good that there's all these vegan options now, but but when I first went vegan, there wasn't as many, so I didn't really eat as much sweets. But now I eat sweets all the time, especially because I'm always in LA, and there's like vegan gluten-free bakeries everywhere, like. But anyways, yeah, so I definitely realize that like when I'm eating, like if I'm on like a weeks long thing of just eating unhealthy because I'm stressed, like it makes it worse, you know. And like, I mean, I know not for everybody, like some people, that's how they cope with stress, which is good. But for me, I just go overboard because I'm too much with the food. So I don't know if anybody's into astrology, but I have a lot of Taurus placements, so like I love food. Um, but yeah, anyways, that's how I deal with stress. I'm trying to get more consistent at the mindfulness because it really does help. So, and I need to be more consistent with exercise too.
People. I think that's the thing about mindfulness is that a lot of the reasons why a lot of people really don't like to do it is because short term, with somebody who doesn't, somebody who is new to mindfulness, short term, it might actually feel like something that is causing you more stress, right? Going inside of your own head and your own body and observing it, and actually, finding a way to observe your thoughts and everything without, being stressed about it, might seem like a really weird thing that is almost impossible for a lot of people to do. But I think what a lot of people misunderstand about mindfulness is that you're not trying to get rid of your stress. You're just trying to observe it, and I think that's something that is really difficult to understand because people might think, well, I mean, that's pointless. Why would I want to do something or just observe my stress? I'm trying to get rid of it, right? And so short term, yes, it might be something that's really difficult to do. It might be scary. It might be almost painful, right? But long term, right? You know how they say knowledge is power, right? Long term, after you get to know your body better, after you get to know your mind better, when you take the time to really get to know yourself, then after a certain period of time, you start to realize, wait, I'm starting to know how to take care of my body. I'm starting to be more quickly aware of my triggers, like things that really upset me or trigger my anxiety. I'm starting to be more aware of these things. I have a clear image of everything that's happening both inside and within the sphere around me. And being able to have more clarity in your life in its own right, I think, is a step in the right direction as far as dealing with anxiety and coping with stress. So it's not an immediate gratification thing. Mindfulness isn't something that you benefit from in the first 5 minutes, or mindfulness meditation anyway. It's something that after a certain period of time, you start to really see the effects after a while. It's kind of like building a muscle, you don't just go to the gym one day and then expect to be jacked as soon as you come home, and it's mindfulness meditation and just mindfulness in general as a concept is a really fascinating thing, I think, and I think it's that's one of my goals, is to find ways to help get rid of those, or not get rid of, but help people understand all those misconceptions about it, especially in this society, Western society, in which a lot of the ways that we manage our stress are kind of maladaptive. We want instant gratification instead of actually finding ways to really get to the root of the problem. So, yeah, that's just that's my take on mindfulness. It's a whole other subject. We could talk about that for hours.
Yeah, thanks, Victor. Mindfulness is a great thing, and we sure can all learn a lot from Eastern philosophy or Asian philosophies, old wisdom. I practiced martial arts for many years. I became familiar with Zen and certain aspects of Buddhism, and I'm a Catholic by upbringing, but I incorporate a lot of Buddhist beliefs as well as far as day-to-day. The way I look at it, Christianity builds you towards the afterlife, and Buddhism helps you for every day. So I kind of do both. I'm a big fan of Richard Gere as far as actors go, and he's big on Buddhism. I've been to Buddhist monk retreats. I've been to Buddhist temples in addition to going to Catholic church. And I just want to say that, mindfulness is key to survival. I think you have to really go into your mind and, look at how you think about things and your way of thinking, and is it adaptive? Is it maladaptive? Is this going to get me further in life or not? I think the Zen philosophy or Buddhist philosophy also incorporates the fact that there's inseparability of mind and body, which is something that you covered, Victor. You can't have one without the other. You could say it all you want. My mind is good, but my body's not tied. It's just wrong. It all goes together, and you've got the mind up here. You've got your gut, which is like supposedly like almost like a second brain. That's why they say, "Hey, go with your gut." How do you feel about that guy? If your gut area hurts every time you see that person, get away from them. It means something, and as well as different parts of your body's storing energy and bad thoughts. Exercise, meditation, and all the above. It's essential. You got to keep that body moving, stretching, and get that energy out, and evaluate your thought processes. So even Bob Proctor, the motivational speaker, talks about this. Your method of thinking can be the deciding factor between whether you'll be rich or poor, healthy or sick, etc., etc. So you got to really look inside, make those changes.
I love that. Yeah, Bob Proctor's we've met him. He's been at some of the celebrity events. He's come to speak there. So I love how you brought him up. And
yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, I like his stuff a lot too.
And thank you for sharing, everybody. Okay. So, question 3. What do you do if you are worried about a friend or relative and their mental well-being? So, it says here that you can be dependent on your relationship with this person, gently encourage someone to seek appropriate support, sit with them and listen when they need someone. Don't raise your voice or push your anxiety and worries on them. Let them know that they're not alone. Check in with them when you can. Be patient. Learn as much as you can about mental health conditions and help find resources. So yeah, I think for me, I would just say, most people, they just want someone to listen to them. And it's not always possible to find solutions. Sometimes they just want you to hear them and understand what they're going through, and I like how it says find resources for them when you can, because you can only do so much if you're not actually trained in psychology, and you don't want to and it's also, you can, if you it's good to talk about these things with your friends, but I feel there also can be unhealthy boundaries with this. Your partner for example, your partner's not supposed to be your therapist. Obviously you talk about things, but that's why I think everybody should have a therapist on the side as well, or or whatever that may look like for them. But yeah, most people just want support. I know when I talk about things I'm stressed about, a lot of people can't relate, but they they can listen and understand you more. My girlfriend actually has a chronic illness too, so we kind of so I mean it was just a coincidence, but we kind of, so we understand each other a lot with that. It's called being a spoonie. You have I don't know why they call it that, but when you have a chronic illness or a disability, they say you only have a certain amount of spoons per day. So we're oh, spoonie love. But yeah, even same thing. I make sure not to talk about it too much or too in depth with her, because she's not my therapist, Yeah, spoonie therapy. So there's definitely ways to go about it, right and wrong, with comforting someone. But yeah, just I think listening is the biggest thing, and suggesting maybe that they should go to therapy or something. But yeah.
Love, Selena, that you're also kind of bringing up some boundaries or some notes on kind of about a healthy relationship, because I agree that you could be worried about someone and be there to support them without it kind of crushing your own life. Because if anyone's like me, I go overboard, really overboard, and I'm the type of person, I just want to fix everything, and let's do this, blah blah blah. If someone were to kind of involve me, I really get inserted, and I really deeply care. can't fix everything. And it's horrible. This is part of me trying to learn to let go. But I just really love that you kind of brought up, like, I think boundaries is so important because I know I need to kind of set them more with myself. Healthy boundaries, yes. I need to set them more with myself. I need to sit back and say, you know, I really respect this relationship. I can't fix this person. I can't do everything, but we can still be friends, or we can still be family. We're still really close without me having to do everything. So I just think it was really cool that you kind of brought that up. I never really would have thought about that, but I also agree, like what you were saying, some people really just want to feel kind of heard, you know, and listened to, and not everyone's going to understand, but trying to kind of gently push or even just listen or get them to speak with someone, any type of resources or research that you can do, just kind of small ways to know, for that person to know that you care is, as a friend or family or relative or whatever, is very, very important. So thank you for bringing that up. That's really cool.
To capitulate on what is being said here, there's a term in modern psychology called active empathy, where it makes this distinction between people who are, you know, empathetic, and people who are trained in active empathy, right? So just being someone who has empathy doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to help another person, right? So you might be able to feel what another person is feeling, right, but not have the tools that you need to be able to help them. And you can, and by feeling what they are feeling, you might end up becoming enmeshed in their emotions, and then your problems might end up being projected upon them, and then rather than helping them, or rather than able to listen to them, someone who is not at least has an intuitive understanding of active empathy might start to be overwhelmed by another person's problems because they'll take it upon themselves, right? So a lot of people who would consider themselves empaths struggle with this kind of thing. Now, when you understand active empathy, right, and are trained in it, let's say if you're a psychologist, you're able to set your own biases aside, and you're able, and because you're able to kind of like put everything off to the side, you offer that other individual space, and that space is kind of like a little, almost like a little like box, right, where both of you can put things in that box without invading the other person's emotional space, right? So someone who has active or is trained in empathy is going to sit there and listen to them, and be able to ask them questions themselves, and is going to be able to say, hey, I have also, you know, from this particular place. I might not have come from the same place as you, but I do know what it feels like to have that basic emotion of, I don't know, let's say anxiety or sadness or etc. And so what you're doing is you're showing them that you can be calm when they might not necessarily be feeling calm in whatever they're dealing with in this moment. And so knowing that they have someone who is going to sit there with them and say, okay, let's talk about this. I'm going to have time for you in the physical space, in the mental space too. I have time for you. Let's make this about you right now. That effect on that person's mental health can be tremendous. It can do unbelievable things. I mean, oftentimes, if all you do, right, if you understand active empathy, and if all you do is sit there and say, okay, I'm here with you, let's talk, let's have a discussion, I'm not going to judge you, let's sit here and be with one another, like actually, like, you know, use our eyes and look into each other's eyes and care about each other's well-being, the problem oftentimes sorts itself out because you're creating a dialogue that's healthy, you know, and you're not projecting your problems onto the other person because, like I said before, you're taking that box, putting it in front of working together to put things inside of that box and examine those things. So, yeah, if anyone is there watching, do research on active empathy. It can do wonders for people, not just on other people, but yourself too.
I love that. Yeah, taking care of yourself is very important, and I can very much relate with Anya on how you say you take care of a lot of people. I used to be that way, and I would say my husband and I kind of became that way. We had a lot of our family and friends come live with us for free, so that took on their problems, and it kind of seeped into our household. I used to do everybody's legal paperwork for free. You know, I was kind of like their lawyer and all that, and it just got too much, especially, you know, when you start noticing that they just call you when they need you. And I just don't think that's healthy for people like us to take on those burdens. We have to find healthier outlets to help people and to serve in ways that are meaningful but not taxing. So, yeah. Dean, do you have anything to say, love?
By old saying, and I say it probably more often than I should, it's heaven helps those that help themselves. So basically, you have to help yourself, not rely on too many other people. Be strong for yourself so that you can help others. And don't let the problems of others bleed into your life and take over. Let your own thoughts be your own thoughts. Don't let people project their problems onto you. As Victor and Anya and other people are saying here, you have to listen, empathize, help create a solution, and move on to your life, because you may have a great thing going, you know, at home, you know, with a spouse, kids, and you want to keep that great thing going. You don't need to come down to the level that you see other people are living at. You keep your energy, you vibrate at a higher vibration. You aspire to vibrate at the levels of people that you look up to, but to help those that vibrate lower than you, but not be affected by those lower than you. So, and I'm going to say this might be a little crass, but I'm always one of those guys that hands money to homeless people. Some people don't like that, but I always tell people, yeah, but I don't vibrate at their level necessarily, but I'm there for them. But then I go back to my level of living afterwards. So,
there's a point that I add to that, is that oftentimes when people might hear, you know, others saying something along the lines of like, I might vibrate at a higher frequency, or other people might vibrate at a lower frequency, one thing that needs to be taken into consideration is that what Dean isn't saying is that he's better than other people, or that other people are inferior or whatever, right?
right.
What he's really saying here is that, well, okay, we'll take the example that, so you have an acorn and a full-grown tree, right? Just because that tree is full-grown in all of its glory doesn't necessarily mean that that tree is better than that acorn. I mean, for all we know, this acorn might have the potential to grow much larger than that other, you know, tree, right? So the whole idea of moralizing other people and saying that, you know, one person is better than the other is actually, it doesn't take into consideration the fact that you, like, innately, right, potential is something which is extremely, like, nuanced, and we can't go around saying that, like, we're innately better than other people or anything like that. What's really going on here is that people are full of all sorts of capabilities, and that by him being in his higher frequency, doing something kind for another person, he offered a piece of himself to that other person, so that way that may potentially reverberate and cause that, homeless person to maybe do something kind for another. And it's just, it all kind of comes back. whole front.
Yes, it does. I agree.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for sharing. I love talking about healthy boundaries. Okay, so fourth question. I think this is the last one. And how mental health conditions impacted during the COVID-19 pandemic? Short answer, yes. A long answer, according to the CDC, public health actions were necessary in order to reduce the spread of COVID-19, but can result in feelings of isolation and loneliness, and can increase stress and anxiety. Stress due to the pandemic can cause or worsen feelings of fear, anger, sadness, worry, numbness, or frustration, changes in appetite, energy, desires, and interests, difficulty concentrating and making decisions, difficulty sleeping or having nightmares, physical reactions such as headaches, body pains, stomach problems, and skin rashes, worsening of chronic health problems and mental health conditions, increased use of tobacco, alcohol, and other substances. I'll just go ahead and say I had probably almost all of these, and I think because of the pandemic, and I'm pretty sure, obviously it affects everybody in different ways, but as humans, we're social beings. We crave connection, and whether that's through like relationships or friendships or whatever, family, and like it's just so devastating to have that taken away. Like it's been like how long? Like a year and a half, well, not a year and a half, but a year and some months, and like it's still kind of hard to believe, and it just proves how much we need to change how we're living and how we, what we do. But yeah, I had a lot of like my chronic illness definitely got way worse during COVID because of the stress, and and it's a cycle, not being able to like do what you want or have fun or like go do things and see people, and then you get more stressed out, and then you're stressed about your stress, or you're stressed about your health, and then obviously the fear of getting COVID, like that is, that's just really scary, obviously in itself. So yeah, how has everybody else been affected by COVID through their mental health?
That for me, at first, so I was actually living in Hawaii when like the whole pandemic kind of hit. I ended up having to come back home, so I was like really upset, like not doing well. I felt like very like alone, like I just kind of like lost like this like great like chance to be able to feel like free and happy somewhere in the world. And then it slowly kind of turned into like I think I weirdly adjust kind of easily, and it turned into me just like loving like being a homebody, which again I don't really know if it's like as healthy as it should be. Like now I like dread leaving the house, when before it was like I never wanted to be home. I always wanted to be out doing stuff. And then kind of during the whole pandemic I was like, maybe this isn't so bad. I tried to kind of just not worry so much about like my family. They ended up like both getting COVID, my grandparents, but they were fine, thank God. So I don't like, it wasn't all negative, I think is what I'm like trying to say, if that makes sense. It kind of forced like life to slow down a little bit, and I think I kind of like adjusted to the pace that like my life was going at the time.
Just say that kind of summarizes what a lot of us had experienced during the pandemic. I do miss people though. I miss physical contact and spending time with people who you love, and now it's like kind of scary, like with this COVID thing. So I definitely relate to you on that. Thank you for sharing. Awesome.
I think the thing that I miss the most, back when I was in college, when I graduated in 2018, I remember having really long, almost sometimes day-long discussions and conversations with all of my friends, with all my college friends, and whether it would be talking about I had a lot of a diverse group of friends, and we would talk about racism. We would talk about other people's experiences, growing up, and we would pretty much cover like existential topics and the meaning of life, things like that. And that experience for me really changed me as a person, being able to have all sorts of meaningful conversations with people that I really cared about, and growing up as a person through their life experiences that they were willing to share with me. And the pandemic, unfortunately, not only people's lives were becoming more busy because some were going into grad school, others were trying to find their own careers or their own path in life. That was compounded by the fact that the coronavirus decided to really head. And unfortunately, a lot of the connections that I had in college had dissipated. And that was a huge, I think, stress factor for me, because not only was I losing my, I guess you could say, freedom to even go outside without, wearing a mask, or going into public spaces anyway without wearing a mask. I also had lost my friend group, my, I guess you could say, the people in my life that brought me a lot of my meaning, a lot of my, a lot of the reasons why I even wanted to go out in the first place and do and make the changes that I wanted to make in this world, and so, yeah, I think COVID-19 really ravaged a lot of us. And recently, I can say that I'm finally coming out of that awful shell and returning back to society again, and actually making my voice heard and going out and listening to other people's experiences again, doing community work and all of that. So I think COVID-19, it has taught me, and I think it's taught a lot of other people, a lot of very important lessons. So that's what I have to say about that.
Wasn't glad that the pandemic wasn't 100% negative for everybody. But I think a lot of people are getting, now that we're, shifting back into normal life, like, I think a lot of people are, like myself included, we're kind of anxious because we're like so used to not being out, that like, that going out was like a big thing. Like I just went to out to a bar with friends for the first time, like a few days ago. It was interesting though, like obviously you had to wear masks when you're not drinking, and like they had like you had to have proof of your vaccination, so that was cool. But it still like was really overwhelming, and like I was like, oh my god, there's so many people. There wasn't that many people, but like it seemed like it, and like it's just crazy. And then my girlfriend, she's an extrovert and I'm more introverted, so like it was less of a transition for me, but it was still stressful. I mean, like going into the pandemic. And like, yeah, I agree with Anya. I'm like, oh, like I kind of like became like, I kind of liked staying home after a while, even though that's, it's not for good reasons. I was like, I'd rather stay home not being forced to. But anyways, sorry, I guess that was the last discussion question. So CBD and mental health. So CBD stands for
Cannabidiol.
Yeah, I keep saying oil. Okay, it is the second most prevalent of the active ingredients of cannabis. It is derived directly from the hemp plant, which is a cousin of the marijuana plant. It is non-psychoactive compared to THC. So the uses. There are a number of conditions that CBD can help. Some existing studies suggest that CBD is effective in the treatment of depression, anxiety, epilepsy, sleep issues, and PTSD, and more. The Journal of Cannabis Research also did a study on CBD and found that it was helpful in alleviating symptoms of mental health conditions such as schizophrenia, social anxiety disorder, and comorbidities, and ADHD. I personally have not tried CBD, but I am very excited to try it with Be Your Highest. Yeah, I
Yay.
really excited to try it. Yeah. Have you all tried it, or how what's everybody's experience with that?
I'm going to be sending you guys samples here soon. So, yeah, I ran into some. I got to set up on the square. It's a whole, but I'm going to get those out this week and figure out who's in a legalized state. Kids are not over 21, and some are in states that's not legal. Okay, our bottom line: mental health matters. Time to change up. Our team of students at Assuaged encourage people to consider the health benefits of a vegan diet, including whole and plant-based foods, to combat mental illness. We do not believe that an excess of prescription drugs and meat-based foods help one's mentality. This could be a solution to avoid mental health issues.
Can I add something with that real quick?
Yeah, did you want to go back to the...
Yeah, I totally meant to mention this earlier, but okay. So it has to do with being vegan. So like, I heard one time, or people talk about. I mean, I guess it has to do with kind of like Buddhism, but like, or like those kinds of beliefs. But a lot of people, one of the reasons, or another reason that they, their mental health improves sometimes after eating, after going vegan or like eating healthier is, I mean, I believe this. I don't know if people believe, or if a lot of people believe this, but it's more like the philosophy of it that, like, you know, these animals, like, they're in factory farming, they grew up tortured, they died fighting, screaming for their lives, you know, so like that energy, like, of their souls, like a lot of times people believe like you're eating that, like when you eat that. So like, so yeah, I never really liked meat. I felt gross eating it all the time, and I should have listened to my heart and like went vegan earlier when I was younger. But I really believe that like eating meat is, you know, kind of bad karma. I mean, I know it's not, you know, people don't know because that's the way the world is, but like I'm glad we're trying to spread veganism because I really think it can mess up your body because, you know, like we said, the food you eat really affects your mental health. So I don't know, I heard that and it kind of scared me, like, about, because like I can't believe so many people just willingly eat like without knowing, you know, they just eat so many animals their whole lives, and like they don't even consider like what happened to these animals. And like I really think that their souls, like, or their, like, that energy, you know, it's kind of like the vibration, the high and low vibration thing, but with your food intake. So I don't know, I just wanted to share that because I love being vegan, and I think it's just so cool that we, because I don't want to eat, you know, tortured beings and stuff. So I really think that being vegan helps with that. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that insightful bit of, you know, just what a vegan lifestyle entails of not only the health benefits, but the ethical nature surrounding what's happening behind doors to the farm animals. And it's just not right, and we're consuming it, and there is energy tied to that, so I agree. So yeah, please join our campaign, Stop the Hate with Delta 8, Be Your Highest. We just launched our own line of vegan Delta 8 CBD gummies for anxiety, stress relief, and pain relief. So we will share our video and hope you enjoy.
Stop the hate, stop it. It's Delta 8, look at us. Yeah. To your heights, you see us in the sky. We still flying, let's go.
Stop the hate with Delta 8. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Be your highest boom and elevate to the moon. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Be your highest boom and elevate to the moon. Lean to the side and rock it. Be your highest boom. We poppin'. Hit the site, go do some shopping. CBD got plenty options. Ooh, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. I love my gummies. Ooh, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Cause they so yummy.
Yummy gummies, tag a friend, tag a lover, tag a Delta 8, come discover. Yummy, make it pop, feels so good, I'm on top, taste so good you can't compare. Vegan gummies, Delta 8, premium ingredients, Delta 8, vegan gummies, taste so good you can't compare. I don't even wanna share, no. Delta 8 gummies, we the flyers, bunny. You can be your best Delta, you can be your best ass.
Stop the hate with Delta 8. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Be your highest boom and elevate to the moon. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Be your highest boom and elevate to the moon. Lean to the side and rock it. Be your highest. Ooh, we poppin'. Hit the cycle, do some shopping. CBD got plenty options. Get it, get it, get it, get it. I love my gummies. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Cause they so yummy. Be your healthiest. So you can live longer. Keep on fighting every day with Delta 8. You getting stronger. We believe in you, but you gotta believe in yourself. Don't try to do it all alone. Be your highest is here to help. We got your back, got your front, rocking side to side. Gummies help you relax. Now you catching vibes. It's for all the vets all across the globe. We feel your pain. Trust us when we say we know. Let's go. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Be your highest boom and elevate to the moon. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Be your highest boom and elevate to the moon. Lean to the side and rock it. Be your highest. Ooh, we poppin'. Hit the cycle, do some shopping. CBD got plenty options. Get it, get it, get it, get it. I love my gummies. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Cause they so yummy.
You can be your best Delta, you can be your best ass, you can be your best version of yourself. Delta 8, you can be your best Delta, you can be your best 8, you can be your best version of yourself.
Stop the hate with Delta 8. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Be your highest boom and elevate to the moon. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Stop the hate with Delta 8. Be your highest boom and elevate to the moon. Lean to the side and rock it. Be your highest. Ooh, we poppin'. Hit the cycle, do some shopping. CBD got plenty options. Get it, get it, get it, get it. I love my gummies. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Cause they so yummy.
So, yeah, much for joining our team of students at Assuaged. I'd like to thank all of the students that attended today, including Ryan Rizzo, who just logged on at the end here, Dean Bravo, Anya Nardone, Victor Schmitt-Bush, and Latzke. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and just really excited for our next presentation. We'll see you guys then. Bye!
Well, have a great one. Take care, guys.